there's a big emphasis now on foundational skills being taught, because for so long we just didn't do it adequately. We didn't do enough foundational skills. The question is, do these various programs support the teaching of foundational skills? Do they do a good job of it? Is it in their core program, or do you have to supplement it with another program to teach foundational skills? How do they address foundational skills?
The thing I appreciated about the salespeople from Wit and Wisdom is that they told us straight up, you're gonna have to do something else for K2. We don't have it. We don't have it. And they made some suggestions, but teachers said, you know what? Let's just take OCR Green. We know that it works. So they had, K2 did some work around that. And
for people who don't know what OCR Green, that's the open court reading green section for the, okay, all right, got you.
Right. So with and 3rd through 5th, we heavy on LLI, level literacy instruction, and
right.
And that's where we kind of focused our reading partners. That's where we focused our tutoring in the 3rd through 5th grade, because K2 felt like they had it on lock with OCR Green. And then we also had Saturday Academy and things like that. And that was for the Wit and Wisdom lift.
We were simultaneously looking at foundational skills. At that time, Wit and Wisdom did not have a fully built out foundational skills. I don't know if that's changed since then, but that would be something you'd want to look at additionally if it's still.
We do use the EL skills block.
Okay, and what's been the response?
I want to start by naming that everyone needs to know that teaching kindergarten skills block via Zoom is the hardest thing ever. We just need to name that, that's not an excuse, and that's not, I'm not trying to downplay anything else, but I just want, teaching skills block through a screen is completely different than teaching, a kindergartner in person how to decode a word, how to point to a letter. There's just a lot of components that are really tricky. I will say that our teachers have responded really well to the skills blocks. As an organization, we're still working on norming on what the assessment components of benchmarks look like and how we're tracking that and what we're doing with that data. But as far as the actual block itself and the materials that are provided, our teachers have been really receptive and really like it.
For EL Ed, the K2 teachers feel like it's better, but they're still asking, some of them asked and some of them just went ahead and did it. We're going to go ahead and go back to, using some of the open court reading green section for letter sounds, and for the decodables and things like that, because they felt like it was just better targeted to student needs.
And that's the teachers. Part of it is teacher agency of saying it's not enough for my kids, or yeah. I think my kids need something more. Mm-hmm. It's not even so much changing a program as it is saying, hey, I got to get more in my kids in their hands or do more with them. So they kind of did that on their own.
Yeah, okay. They did. They after doing the expeditionary learning PDs over the summer and things like that, they were still very excited about the rest of the program. But they looked at, over the few years that they've been teaching and looked at the level of instruction for foundational skills, or this isn't enough. We need to be hammering this more and they feel the urgency. If we don't get this right by kinder 1st grade, then by the time they hit 2nd grade, which is where you'll see a lot of our pitfalls, by the time you hit 2nd grade, and our kids still aren't able to read, at least a few multisyllabic words, they don't have understandings of prefixes and affixes and things like that, then, it's all downhill from 3rd grade on. Yeah. So, kudos to them for stepping out and being like, we'll just add things in, we'll add it in. So they're not taking anything away, they're adding it.
How to read, is that a separate piece or is that part of it?
It's part of it. It's all part of it. It's 3 components. So there's the shared reading, ELA, and then the differentiated instruction small group that focuses on their level, which is foundational skills.
Bookworms, the only section that we were looking at was the foundational skills, which were pretty strong as well.
Okay. But you were before in terms of the teaching kids to read. Mm-hmm. I think SIPS is better than being a reader in that way, to go back to that. Mm-hmm. But you've heard me say that before. No, but yeah, okay. I think that works for all kids.
So it might be something that if adopted, you would have to switch out SIPs with the foundational skills piece being a reader if you were doing that for tier 1, as opposed to having SIPs as tier 2 and being a reader as tier 1.
You don't necessarily have to. Being a reader is pretty strong. I would just make sure that you're adopting both if you were to pick it up, because that will guarantee that all kids learn to read.
Adopt
And
both, meaning
in Oakland,
have SIPs be tier 2 to catch anybody that doesn't.
yeah, if you're doing the whole suite, I would do that. But in Oakland, the RTI triangle is inverted. And so a majority of kids need some more systematic instruction than initially thought.